Who's ever watched NCIS? Which favorite characters?
Abby.
Abby. Who? No. All he does is work with dead people. That's disgusting. A lot of people like Abby, right? Well, she's a little eccentric, but she's got cool stuff, right? She has made being a forensic scientist like way cool, right? A lot of people think that's, when they see that, they think, well, that's what a chemist does. Okay? Does a chemist do that? Is she a chemist? Absolutely, she's a chemist. She is what most people would call an analytical chemist, meaning that she analyzes things. Okay? Are there other types of chemists in the world besides what she does?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Certainly are. Are they all as cool as what Abby does? No. Depends upon what your definition of cool is, right? I'm an analytical chemist of a different kind. I measured trace metals in the ocean for a long time, traveled the world collecting samples, been all over the ocean, Pacific, Atlantic, Arctic, been all over. Okay? I'm a chemist. Okay? So there are lots of chemists that do all kinds of stuff, right? This particular woman down here is a forensic scientist. She analyzes bodily fluids and tissues. And they do all kinds of stuff, right? Abby has all kinds of fancy equipment in her lab. But before she could go on and do that, she had to learn what? The basics. And that's what we're here to do. Okay? We're going to cover the basics of chemistry in this class. So, here they have some chemists working on developing pharmaceuticals. Is that what chemists do?
Yes.
Some chemists, yes. You go over to, I guess it's called Pfizer now, right? They have lots of different types of chemists over there, probably. They have some guys that work on synthesizing new stuff. And then they have a different set of guys that analyze what those guys synthesize and tell them if they actually made what they think they made. Okay? Do you have on you or in your possession today anything that a chemist worked on before you got it?
Yes.
What?
The plastic in this bottle.
The plastic on that bottle. Absolutely. Sinus tabs. The plastic on that bottle, what? If we were in here 30 years ago, I think 30 years ago, you wouldn't have been drinking water out of a plastic bottle, would you? If you were drinking water, you'd probably be drinking it out of the fountain, or you would have a glass cup that you would use to go get some water out of that fountain, right? We didn't drink bottled water 30 years ago. Okay? If you bought a Coke or something at the store, you probably would buy it in a glass bottle, right? Or maybe it was more than 30 years ago. 30 years ago. That 35 years ago is about when plastic came out like that, when drinks started coming out. Because about 40 years ago, I did that. Here, look, see that right there? That was with a glass Coke bottle. I got a big scar on my hand. I broke a bottle and cut myself. So, did away with glass. Did a chemist work on the glass that that drink was in that I cut myself with? Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's actually chemists that specialize in formulations for different types of glass to make it stronger, to make it, more opaque, to just make it better, make it easier to make, all kinds of stuff like that. Anything else on your possession today that chemists worked on? The ink that you're writing, yeah. They worked on the formulation for that ink, right? To make sure that it flows out of the pen nicely, that it stays stable and permanent, right? They work on the color of the ink, right? Okay. Anything else?
Makeup.
The makeup you're wearing? Absolutely. They work on the formulations to try to reduce the allergens in it, to make sure that the colors are true, to make sure it lasts longer, and to try to make it cheaper. What about the paper you're writing on? Chemists work on the paper you're writing on? Sure. What do they do with the paper? Paper comes from trees, right? Mm-hmm. What do they do with the tree? They take it and they grind it up into a pulp, and they mix some chemicals and stuff together, and then they run that pulp through a press, and then it comes out in a sheet. Okay? I'm just getting a sign-in sheet because I forgot to get one out. So, this is how we're going to take attendance. We'll just pass this around. Sign your name, not anybody else's, okay? What else? What about the clothes you have on?
A lot of pajamas and stuff like that, they've done the flame,
Flame retardant? What about the colors in them?
Mm-hmm.
What about all the different fibers that are in there? Not everybody's just wearing pure cotton, are you?
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time it's got at least some synthetic in it, right? Yeah, terrible twins, polyester, right? I was down visiting, my parents live down in Georgia now, and I was down at their house, I think it was sometime last year, and I was, my sister-in-law had gone and got some pictures out, and there was a family photo, must have been from about 1974 or 5, somewhere in that area. We were sporting some polyester.
My collar.
My mom had on a lime green winter suit. I had on like
Giant flowers all over it.
no, I had on a shirt that had flowers on it, and then I had on like a brown polyester jacket on top of that. Are you not on there? Why are you not on there? Oh, because I forgot to put you on there. Because you added late. You were here the other day, and I did look. You are on the roster, but I forgot to add it when I made the sheet. Sorry, my fault. What else?
Laundry detergent.
Laundry detergent.
Bleach.
What about the color of your hair? Is that color of your hair? Not to insult you. It's kind of a bright red. You born with that color of hair?
Originally.
Originally.
I hear you, trying to get back
Just
to it.
turning back. I'm not saying anything. I can ask her the same question, right? Not even close to the original color up here, right? You do it yourself, or you go to a hairdresser or have it done? Go to a hairdresser. What does that place smell like when you walk in there? It smells god awful, doesn't it? Wow, all those chemicals in there, right? It's disgusting, isn't it? Okay. Do all chemicals smell that way?
No.
No, they don't, right? I don't even like the word chemical. Audrey, are you not on there?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
you're
let me
the
see.
wrong class.
Oh my God.
I might not even have the right one on here. It is the wrong class. I recognize the names on there. I don't have the right one. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn it over and send it around again. You just print your name and sign it. How's that? Why are you getting me off track like that? Her name, by the way, is Shoes.
Shoes.
We will learn about this in lab, you guys.
Yeah, her name is Shoes.
I was actually gonna say shoes for chemicals.
Yeah, your shoes. Yeah, chemists have worked on the formulation for what?
The
For the rubber on the bottom. And there may be even a chemist that has worked on the formulation for the cow to produce the leather. Right?
Yeah.
Anybody here try to eat healthy?
Yeah.
What's one of the terms that they try to, all these health food nuts now, they're trying to get rid of what? They're all organic and what's the acronym they're trying to get rid of? GMOs, right? What does that stand for?
Genetically modified organisms.
Genetically modified organisms. Well, what's wrong with those guys?
Some of them are pretty, I mean, research isn't all that clear.
Well, wait a minute. Let's go back in the history of mankind. Have we ever genetically modified anything before?
No.
All the dang time. We have selectively bred and crossbred things throughout history to get certain traits in something that we want, right? Have we not? Like, that's how we got all the different breeds of dogs and stuff we have, right? That's how we get the different breeds of cows we have. Some cows are beef cows, some cows are milk cows, because we bred them to do that. All we're doing when we genetically modify stuff is selecting for certain traits.
Carrots used to be purple.
You can make carrot juice purple.
Well, they used to be purple. They made it
Yeah.
orange.
Yeah, because why? It sells better, right? So we selected the traits in these things and bred them for it. So when we genetically modify it, we're doing the same thing, we're accelerating it. And we're doing it in a lab as opposed to cross-modifying. What?
Our name's on the wrong class.
Let's worry about that later. Y'all keep getting me over. Alex, do it on the back. Just sign it on the back. If you're on the front, then it probably means you're signed up for section 1, not 2. I guess. I don't know. Anyway.
You're talking about
GMOs. So we've been doing that for a long time. There are chemists now that work on the genes, right? And they try to selectively put in the right traits and the right genes so that when they have a plant or even an animal, that it will represent certain traits when it grows up, right? So that you can make bigger tomatoes or more juicy tomatoes, or you can make cows that have more muscle versus fat, or more fat versus muscle. Welcome. How are you today? I'm all right. So there are chemists that work on pretty much everything that you could possibly think of, right? Anything that you can think of. There probably has been a chemist that has somehow in our modern life thought about or worked on that particular topic. Okay? So, what is chemistry then? Chemistry really comes down to this definition. It is the study of matter. Okay? And they have other words. Composition, structure, properties, and reactions of matter. All the stuff that goes into studying matter. Well, that means you got to know what matter is, don't you? What is matter?
Substances in the world.
That's a terrible
That's
definition.
what it says in the book.
Terrible definition. How do you define something as being matter?
It
has
weight and
mass.
mass.
Weight and mass are almost the same term.
Takes up space.
It has mass and it takes up space. Volume. Has volume, it has mass. If it has both of those things, it is matter. And it's actually almost everything you can think of is matter. There are a few things that are not matter. And to show the difference, like this table is matter, right? The air in this room is matter. It's made up of atoms, and we're going to talk about atoms. Is there anything in this room that is not matter? Hint, there is. There's more than one, actually. Anybody?
Lights?
No, oxygen. Not the lights themselves, but the light.
Rays.
Yeah.
The light waves that are coming off of it.
Sound.
It has no mass, and it doesn't take up space, theoretically. Also, sound is a form as well that is not matter. What are these things? These are different forms of energy. Okay? So energy is not matter. But other than that, most everything you could think of in the universe will be classified as matter. Okay?